Okay, guys, welcome back. All right, so we're here now, so it's much better. I can actually maneuver it better, and we don't have to leave again. So we're gonna go through one past paper question. We're gonna go through some extra textual information, and I'm gonna show you an example of a report that the teachers would have made before. Hold on. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So here is a question. This is drama. So you're gonna either do this. More than offering mere entertainment, also uses his craft to explore the representation of love as both destructive and instructive. And then you should use reference to one Shakespearean tragedy or romance and one work of modern drama. Discuss the validity of this statement. Now, I think number one is a beautiful question, but let's try number two and see what's there to see if we have more information, right? Primarily through the use of dramatic representation of male to female relationships, the playwright is able to captivate his audience. All right, same thing. What do you guys think about both of these questions? Give me an opinion. Anybody, what do you guys think of these questions? Do you guys think that they're hard? Do you think they're easy? If I know where you guys are,
I like number one better, to be honest.
all right, Evania. Anybody else? Does anybody think number two sounds good too? All right. Yeah, Joseph says not really hard. Here's the thing. Both of these questions kind of give you room to write on a lot of things. All right. You are given the space to actually explore different elements of the plays. For example, more than offering mere entertainment, you can talk about other elements of the play that makes it great. All right. This is such a beautiful question for real, Vanya. It's nice. And then there is dramatic representation of male to female relationships. I'm seeing Echo in the Bone down in number 2. I'm seeing Anthony and Cleopatra in number 1. So let's get into it. Guys, give me an idea of how you'd start the question. What's the first thing that you do when answering this question? What would you do first?
I think I'll talk about entertainment first in itself in both plays before I answer anything else.
Okay, thanks, Ravania. You can type it in the chat as well, guys. Where would you start? Okay, let's say we're doing number one for real. Where would we start? Ravania said that she'd talk about entertainment in itself first. This is, somebody mentioned earlier about Charles Dickens and Hard Times, and we're talking about his background. Mere entertainment is something that you can actually use in an introduction to say that usually, like, for example, here's probably something I'd probably say plays, like, or would I say drama? I think would I say plays. Plays were made for entertainment. However, in recent times or within the Jacobean era, Shakespeare would have highlighted different issues associated with society within his plays. So it was like poetry within a play. I can't say that. I'm thinking about something that sounds better or something that will be more meaningful. Purpose within a play, or the purpose of a play. So you can start by saying, at first or originally, a play was made to provide or offer mere entertainment. However, during the Jacobean era, Shakespeare would have added value to playwriting because of his depth or his purpose that was added to plays, or the meaning behind the plays that he was writing. We have somebody in the chat. Oh, A Raisin in the Sun. Okay, Ravania has this as her to intro. She says, Antony and Cleopatra is entertaining because it explores the themes of power, love, and betrayal, and features two complex and fascinating characters in the title roles. A Raisin in the Sun is an entertainment play because it explores themes of, all right, Ravania. I see where you're going, but guess what? I'm not go with you, Ravania. This will give me a 3 out of 5. It'll give me a try, but me need a little bit more from you, right? Remember, this is Cape, guys. Not to say that
I wasn't putting it as like my introduction, but like I'm breaking it down as in like for the introduction, I would talk about 4 different aspects, one being entertainment, one being the playwright's craft, and as well as representation as love as destructive and instructive. This isn't really like my organization, but I'm just stating what I find entertaining about both plays.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the clarification. What I want to address is what you said about writing 3 different things on entertainment, the playwright's craft, and love. Remember, I said before that the technique used highlights the theme. So it is the technique that drives. The technique is, to me, the technique is the driving force of the theme, or it is the vehicle that brings the theme to its destination, or allows the theme to reach the whoever is reading or whoever is watching, the reader, effectively. So when you're going to talk about this question, number 1, you're going to talk about the craft of, let's say, dramatic effect or props. Let's say we're going to talk about those crafts, but we're really showing how those crafts or that craft represents love as both instructive and destructive. So when you're talking about, let's say we're using our props and we talk about how much they use different elements of the props. Whenever you're talking about that, always go back to the fact that in this way, love has been represented or portrayed or conveyed as instructive and destructive, or you can use instructive for one part and then destructive for another part. But what I'm saying is this. The question is asking you whether or not plays are meant for entertainment alone, or is the entertainment within the play what portrays or explores the representation of love as destructive and instructive. Now, this could be true that it's the entertainment that portrays it, but it's just how you write it. It could also be false, that it's not just entertainment. What I want you guys to understand is that the craft would be the techniques that the playwright uses in order to show us how love is both destructive and instructive. So it's like what I said before. It's the props, it's the allusions, it's the similes, it's the metaphors. Those are the things that actually drive the theme of love as both destructive and instructive. And that's what we need to highlight here. Before we go on to prose and all of that, I want to show you guys something, a report that's down here. So way down more in the syllabus, we have these things called reports. All right. Key and the marks key. So for this question specifically, they would have shown you what you could have written on. And this is what I want you guys to look at when you go back and look at your syllabus. Down here in the bottom, you can see where they actually tell you what you could write on. And these are papers from before, so it's just examples. Going down. Okay, so here's our report on the candidate's work for this exam, May to June 2004. And it's gonna be, they're gonna give you like some reports from a long time because, you know, yeah, they might repeat the questions that are more recent. So they're not gonna give you those reports. But from these reports from way back, you can actually understand what they're looking for. So we have detailed comments down here. So for drama, we have for poetry, we have for everything. But because we're in unit 2, we're gonna go to unit 2. All right. Unit 2. The drama extract was not well done. Candidates did not seem to understand clearly what was taking place in this extract and accordingly did not respond well to the questions. Now, here's what they would give the answer as. Question 1, it was generally well done and candidates were able to score full marks. But however, for question 2, they're able to identify an appropriate device, but as with other questions of this nature, weaker candidates were unable to explain the effectiveness of literary device selected. So that was for that question. So basically what they do is they just give you an idea of what they're looking for in depth. At this time, they were doing Tijan and his brothers, and they tell you about what they're looking for and all of that. Sorry for the noise in the background. Give me a second. All right, guys. So in talking about all of this, what you want to understand is that they're looking for specific things and they do give answers. So further down in the syllabus, because as you can see here from the cursor, it's like not even halfway there. They actually give you the answers, literally. They give you a mark scheme and they give you answers for all of these things. That's the IA. Hold on. All right, guys. So here's one of the mark schemes that they have. Here's the criteria for marking it. So if you want to score 10 marks out of the 40, you have to have great organization. So like I said before, when I was talking to you guys earlier, your opening paragraph with clear thesis, which introduces main points. The middle paragraph, which develop the points outlined in the opening paragraph. So it does go back to that. And in the final paragraph, which brings argument to reasonable conclusion. Transitional words, like I said before, formal syntactics, structures. I told you about the structure, correct grammar, the use of language. So these are the things that we're looking for. And they tell you what grade you would get if you do it in such a way. So this is what you're looking for. This is what we're looking for as markers. That's what they do. This is literally it. And they give you a range of how they mark it. And they tell you all of that good stuff. That's what you want to soak in. All right, guys. So if you're looking for it, it's all in the syllabus, the criteria, everything. And this is how it is for application of knowledge. You analyze, evaluate, and you write a thesis. you have appropriate information that you select. It's very logical. You have reasonable conclusion, all of that. And then up here, so with the understanding, you're familiar with the concepts and all of that. So now you guys will be more familiar with the sources, historical data, social facts, the understanding of the relationships between the characters, the form, what it means to have this and to have that. Yes, you might have the knowledge and the understanding, but if you don't have the application of the knowledge and you don't have the organization of the information, it won't work. It won't. So that's what you have to do, guys. And that's how you answer the questions properly, having those things. Now, moving on. Let's try poetry. Prose. All right. Poetry. Which one of these sounds better? You can read it and then tell me. Read it in like 45 seconds.
I would do number 3, seeing as how I only did Lorna Goodison poems.
Okay. So you automatically kind of backed in a corner there, huh? But that doesn't mean that you're not going to do well. Let me explain that. All right. So most people said number 3. So let's go with number 3. Goodison is amazing, guys. I should tell you, she's one of the best of the best. And I think you can see that from the way she writes. So this says Goodison emphasizes the importance of tradition while experimenting with conventional poetic structures. This is about poetic structures and tradition. All right, so what poems are we using, guys? I'm thinking about some in my head, but let's hear it. What poems are you thinking of?
Could I Am Becoming My Mother be used?
Perfect. I'm Becoming My Mother. What else, guys? Come on. Judges, like that. Okay. What else, guys? We're doing it. Anything else? Come on, we have 3 poems here. Guys, one more. Just need one more. Just one. All right. For my mother, may I inherit her strength? Because that is deep. That deep, bud. All right. So let's say we're going to write on I'm Becoming My Mother, Judges, and for my mother, may I inherit her strength. Those 3 poems are actually amazing. Firstly, what we need to understand is we are talking about tradition. So of course, we're going to have traditional poems. We're putting the poems aside. We're experimenting with conventional poetic structures. Now, who knows what poetic structures are? Anybody? All right, perfect, good. So we have the type of poem it is. Is it an ode? Is it a ballad? Is it a couplet? And yeah, the stanza length. You know, you have the delineation. That's good too. All of those things you want to make sure that you have when it comes on to poetic structures. So having said all of that, guys, and we know what they're looking for in terms of the markers, what they're actually looking for, we can put it together and we can make a bomb essay. Now, I only have one thing right now with in terms of Goodison's poem is Don Drummond. I'm not sure if Don Drummond could work in this. Let me check what I have. Yeah, right. All right. No. But essentially, guys, we can write a great essay. So when we're organizing the information, remember that you need to have your opening paragraphs, and they need to be linked, your opening sentences rather, for your paragraph, and they need to be linked to your thesis, etc. You need to be able to analyze and evaluate the information. So you must have your logically ordered sentences, etc. So let's say that we're gonna write on this question, right, guys? Tell me some of the things that will come out in writing this. We have the structure set up. We know what we're looking for, tradition. So tell me, how would you guys approach this question? Guys,
I'm thinking.
all right, let me help you guys. So we're talking about the importance of tradition here, right? Write a nice quote about tradition and culture. Yeah, Darshani, we can write about a nice quote. But all right, it's a great question, and it's so great that it puzzles everybody. I understand. It happens a lot. So here's the thing. Because it's so great, you want your essay to be as great as the question. Give you room to do a whole heap, guys. So emphasize importance of tradition, experiment with conventional poetic structure. We're gonna talk about Lorna Goodison. In Goodison's selected poems, we can say, we can talk about the fact that Goodison uses elements of her culture to portray elements of poetry, or through the use of tradition, to the use of socialization, what else we can say? Societal things like societal issues, we can even say. Culture, yeah. We can talk about that. Perfect. Got the right. So the culture of Goodison's poems assists us in understanding, or she portrays conventional poetic structures through a certain culture. Now we can talk about the culture in depth. Culture being women having to stay home. We can talk about judges. For my mother, may I inherit her strength. Women having different skill sets. What's that name of that lady in Judges? Oh my gosh, Judges is such a great poem. Gender roles. Yes, I am becoming my mother. Yeah, so you can see it. But here's the thing, guys. When you're talking about it, don't use too many examples, because you don't want to over exemplify the thing. What you're going to do is basically this. So you're going to say something along the lines of, through the use of lineation, or yeah, let's use lineation. Through the use of lineation, or hold on, another use lineation. Can't work. That's true. Tradition can mean anything. But we know tradition as culture. We know tradition as something that we're used to. So if we're going to talk about anything associated with tradition, it has to be something that makes it necessary for this specific type of people, or this society. So if we're talking about the tradition, you want to highlight the fact that, all right, firstly, women stay home. Women take care of children. Women cook. Women clean. Women do this. Women do that. in Judges, you can point out two different sides where you have women who do more than this. They don't just cook and clean and, you know, sew. You have other women who actually do more than that. Ravania, you raised your hand, you can go ahead.
I was talking about in reference to like I am becoming my mother. If you're going to talk about tradition, personally, I would talk more on the aspect of like gender roles and so forth, because I was reading not an article but a book by Mark Dermott, and he was saying that Goodison can be referred to as a feminist, and in that aspect, it can discuss why in most of her poems she kind of talks about women as doing a lot of the kind of roles such as cooking and cleaning, and it can refer to that in I Am Becoming My Mother when it talks about the mother kind of mostly being in the kitchen, as well as in Judges when you talk about like the maids and things like that. So if I was to answer the question, I would mostly go towards tradition being as in like the gender roles in a patriarchal society.
Okay, that's very good, Ravania. However, I didn't hear you mention anything about the conventional poetic structures. So what I want to hear from you is when you're talking about I am becoming my mother, and you're talking about where the woman has this gender role, or these gender roles are attached to, you know, male and female. I wanted to talk about how much repetition is in I am becoming my mother and how much allusion is in Judges, etc. So don't just focus on the gender roles. And you know, Harold McDermott is very good when he comes on to criticizing different points. So yes, mention him. However, remember the question is asking you about the experiment that Goodison does with conventional poetic structures. So keep it within the context of the question. Yes, great information, great knowledge. Apply it to the question and you'll be perfect. All right? Yes, you can use literary devices. You can.
That's what was challenging me, because in my mind, I thought that like the poetic structures would be like the stanzas and so forth, and didn't have a lot of information on that.
Can be, but then you have other sources. Well, you have other forms of structure. So, for example, let's say she it can be mostly physical. A lot of persons like to think about the physical structure, but then you can think about socially how she structures it. Does she have more paragraphs about females than males? Does she have more about females than males? Who does she emphasize in this line, or why does this run on this way? So you can even look at it from that standpoint or that perspective. So think about this in depth, think about the poetic structure. And I think what you guys have done, since I've heard you actually mention these things, Ravania, is focus a lot on the knowledge. Recognize that it's both knowledge and application. Oh, cool. I didn't know Matt Dermott wrote a book. That's so nice. I even have some right here with him from Echo in the Bone. I literally have like, I'm going to share it with you guys. Are you guys seeing my screen? I literally have something here by Harold Matt Dermott. Yeah. I don't want to say I have one book. Or is this the book? This is probably the book. That's cool. All right. So let's go back to this. So basically what I was saying, guys, is that you want to have the points about the conventional poetic structure. I do have soft copies and I will be sending them to the group, Javel. Guys, if I don't pronounce your name right, correct me, please. I hate when people don't pronounce my name right, so, you know. All right, perfect. So this is just one example, and I want you guys to understand that it's more than the poems. So the poems are great, but what are the poems used for? How can you talk about her use of alliteration? Oh my gosh, her use of alliteration when it comes down to the poems, how she emphasized a certain tradition in this by using this. So let's use I Am Becoming My Mother. All right. Imagery, symbolism, the color imagery, right? We're gonna talk about yellow brown woman and brown yellow woman, the visual and olfactory images that actually are pointed out in her poems. So it can be read as a duality of the person as well as the significance or complexity of the Jamaican context. So seeing it as more than, all right, two colors. She says brown, yellow, and she says yellow, brown. Is it weird, or is it that she's actually talking about the fact that we're backward and forward back? Like, think about it, guys. She could say brown, yellow twice. She could say yellow, brown twice, but she didn't. She reversed them. Is it because a lot of what we do in our culture or our tradition, is it contradictory to who we are? Because we would like to think, or traditionally, we'd like to think that the homemaker is the female and the housemaker is the male. However, in Goodison's poems and with being a feminist, she definitely highlights how much the woman actually takes on more than the man. When she talks about in For My Mother May I Inherit Her Strength, when she talks about the sewing that the mother does and the crying that the mother does not do, like all of that, the strength that's in the woman, please remember to mention what she uses to highlight the tradition, or what she uses to highlight whatever theme is coming out of the poems. So don't just say the theme and, have the extra textual information. But remember, we have the poetic structures too to talk about. I'm going to type it here for you guys. It's the driving force. Highlighted by Goodison. I'm going to send you guys all the extra textual material I have, so you guys can be prepared for the exam. But please do not overlook the fact that there are so many devices used. There we go. All right, let's go down to the final part of, or the final module of Unit 2, which is prose fiction. All right, so we have exploration of conflict and narrative strategies, and we have narratives to explore social ills. Which one? Conflict, social ills, and narrative techniques. Strategies, techniques is the same thing. Which one are we using, guys?
I think the second one would better fit the one that I'm doing, which is hard times.
Okay, all right. Yeah, hard times is about social ills. We have some in the chat. Number 6. All right, people feel more comfortable with number 6, that's fine. Writers carefully craft their narratives to explore social ills. Tell me how you can talk about that in hard times. What craft can we mention to explore social ills in hard times? And what are the social ills that we'll be mentioning? Maru? Characterization? What books do you guys have for prose fiction? Remind me, please. Hard times. Hard times. Okay, most of you have hard times. That's fine. Fine. The craft is nothing to confuse. No word what them write confuse you. Craft is the technique. Narrative techniques, the characterization. Don't make no, and this is why I say, guys, be familiar with some of the words that they use when they're doing literature. They will use some words and you'll think it's something else when it's not. Craft is any skill that the narrator uses, any technique the narrator uses to make sure that a point gets across. So whether it is point of view, characterization, what else? Enough other things. The structure of the text, because they use structure of the novel as well. You have so many things we can't even remember. Guys, it's a lot. It's too much. It's actually not to know. The diction or use of language, the structure, Mr. Structure already. It's too much. Come, symbolism. Yeah, all of that, right? Cool. So these are what you want to use. And what are the social ills that we're going to explore? I'd recommend having 3 social ills that we're exploring. 3 social ills to go with 3 narrative techniques or 3 crafts that we'll say here in this essay. What are the 3 social ills that we'll use? Okay, industrialization. All right, mechanization of human beings. I think mechanization of human beings can be linked to industrialization. Can be, doesn't have to, but continue. If you know how to separate them, then that's fine. Anybody else? Another social ill that we can explore in hard times. Marriage. Why is that a social ill? Another one. Social class. Okay. Social class. I'm trying to think about another term for social class. Okay, we can use it. Yeah, poverty. All right. I understand what you mean, Ravanya. Okay, so in highlighting anything that we're doing, social stratification, that's what we want to say. So don't use class, use stratification, Yeah. All right. So in understanding all that we're going to explore when it comes on to Jesus. Okay, all right, cool. Express that hate in the essay. Express all of your moods, all of your feelings in the essay. All right, cool. So in highlighting the crafts that are used to explore the social ills, you want to make mention of everything that I said before. In the introduction, you have your inspiring quote or something to get the marker attention. You go into depth when it comes on to what you're talking about, and then afterwards you mention both novels. Remember to underline the title of your novels, right? And have them in initial caps for the names of the authors too. Then you want to write your thesis and make sure that your thesis is captivating. Make sure that your thesis is actually linked to the question. So whatever thesis you're writing. So let's say we're writing a thesis for this. We're going to say, through characterization, symbolism, and marriage. No, that doesn't make sense. Sorry. Through characterization, symbolism, and industrialization, the social ills of... No, sorry, guys. Let me write it. Characterization, symbolism, let's use biblical allusion. All right, here you go, guys. There you go. That's a thesis. Imagination is not to be divorced from facts. Give me a little bit more, Vanya. Give me some more. Let me see it. You piqued my interest. Yes, I'll say. So I would read this essay. Come here and say, what is have to do with this essay? Yeah. See or something.
You want me to explain?
No, yeah. Just give me more.
I would talk about imagination is not to be divorced from facts, being that when you think about imagination, a lot of the terms used in the actual book were things such as fancy, being that a lot of, you can really say where, for example, like Mr. Gradgrind, he's basically saying that, oh, only facts is important and everything, but you can really see through other characters such as Sissy that things such as fancy and expression are important, especially during the industrialized era where imagination and so forth are essential. That's kind of what I'm going towards.
I see it. And what narrative technique are you using for this?
Personally, would things such as like setting and so forth be a narrative technique?
You can use plot. Plot is the setting is a part of the plot.
I think would symbolism also be one?
Yeah, but don't use two for one. You understand? So if you're gonna use imagination or you're gonna talk about industrialization, I love this quote. I love that you can link it to industrialization, but remember, writers carefully craft their narrative. So you need a narrative. You have a social skill, but yeah, that's I want you to get that, Ravania. You have it, you have the info, but you need the narrative. So you need a narrative technique. So if we're gonna use, what did you say again? Remind me, please.
I was thinking either the setting or plot or symbolism. I'm not sure which one I'll do.
Let me tell you why I wanted to use plot. You see, plot, you have more room because the plot has the setting, it has the exposition, I should say. It has the exposition, you have the climax, you have how it ends. So the plot, you can actually, how the plot is as to how the plot goes, you can actually use that to highlight it. All right.
Yes.
Yes, so you can use plot. All right. Mute your mic, please.
So those are unplanned situations.
Hold on.
You're with me.
Andrew, your mic was opened. All right, thank you. So basically, go ahead, Darshani.
Okay, so in the thesis statement, I saw that you have characterization, symbolism, and biblical allusion as the techniques, and then you have the themes.
Yes.
So I'm asking if, like, for each technique, for example, characterization is the first technique you mentioned. You have to link that to industrialization.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. You see now? Can you see how it comes out now? So in having a thesis like this, you're linking the craft, which is the characterization, to how it explores the social ill, which is industrialization. You get me?
Yeah, I understand.
Yes, perfect. So that's what you want to do when and this will make your essay, any essay that you'll have, this will give it body. This will make it not complex, but this will just add to it. This will add value to it, because then while you're carefully highlighting how they use the craft, you're also mentioning what they use the craft to do. So yes, they have the craft. Yes, they point out this, they point out poverty, they point out socialization, industrialization rather, they point out marriage. But what do they use to point out these specific things? And how can you use whatever narrative techniques that they use? How can you use them to say, okay, and this is how the writer effectively underscores the theme of, or the social ill, or the societal issue, or the problem within society associated with social stratification. I'm not thinking of any biblical allusion, you know. I wrote the thesis based on what you guys gave me. But if
Oh, because I heard you mention biblical allusion before.
no,
So I was like,
everything.
oh.
It's everything that you guys would have said that I put back into a small thesis. It's just an example, you know. It's not to answer the question, actually. It's just an example.
Really?
Yeah, it's just an example. I'm just giving an example here, guys. All of these are just examples. I'm not going to give you any answers to the question. I'm going to guide you as to how to answer it. And then you're going to go back, you're going to review, and then you're going to effectively plan for your exam. All right? I'm going to get the link for the WhatsApp group. I'm getting the link so I can give Javel. Give me a second, guys. All right, so I want you guys to remember, you have all the info. I can hear it in your voices. I can see it in how you type. But you must remember that when the question asks you, oh, that's fine if you never read the book, them. You thought you were supposed to read them? Come on, Darshani. You should know better. It's okay. It's completely okay if you didn't read them. Some people read the book and just come in the exam and write, did you pass last year? I'm assuming that you did because you're here. And because you passed and never read the book, you decided that you are not going to read them again and pass again because you did before. So you're just, you know, operating based on precedent, or, you know, something that has happened in the past, right? You don't have to read any other books, but you have to know about the books. You have to know about the context of the books. You have to know about the authors. You have to know about what happens in the book. Know the plot, like your hand, the back of your hand. Know the plot, like, you know, your fingernails. You have to know the plot. Know how it unfolds. Know what the author uses. I will tell you, I have not read all of my books for when I was doing literature. I did literatures in English in CSEC and I did it in Cape. I didn't read all of my books, but I did read some, and I can tell you that they're good when you read them. It's better when you read them. Why? It's almost like you're so in tune with it because you would have actually gone through every detail of it that nobody can stop you when you come on to talking about it. For example, I did literatures in English years ago, and here's a link to the WhatsApp group in the chat. I'm just telling you guys this now so you can understand. I did it years ago. I never read Hard Times, right? And I never read, we didn't have that on our syllabus. We didn't have a lot of stuff. But Goodison was on our syllabus, and I can tell you a lot of things on Goodison. I can still tell you how great Lorna Goodison is as a poet. I still use poems that Lorna Goodison has written. All right, guys, here's the link for the WhatsApp group. Give me 1 minute, please. All right, guys, this is pretty much it. You guys have any more questions?
I don't think so.
All right, great. I'm glad that you guys don't have any more questions. So this is pretty much it, guys. I am going to send all extra textual information I have in the WhatsApp group. I'm going to do it by the end of the day. And I'm just going to use the time to gather them. And if you guys have any more questions, you can send me in the WhatsApp group as well. I'll try to help you as much as I can. What I'll definitely say is that you guys have the knowledge. You just need to know how to apply it correctly, read the question and analyze it properly, because this is advanced. It's an advanced proficiency exam. It's not for saying, and I think this and this and that, and don't use, yeah, come on, guys. So find a little time throughout the rest of the time that you have to study to apply yourselves and be analytical. I know society nowadays doesn't call for people to be analytical, which is why it's important to do literature, because then you are, or you have to analyze text. And from analyzing, then you're able to actually understand it in depth more. All right. So thank you guys for joining. I hope this session was good for you guys. Sample answer? No. Memorize quotes. No, you don't need to memorize any quotes. No, you
Really?
don't do that. No. When you go in there, you'll know. Let me tell you, see, based on all of the reading you've done, once you see a question like, writers carefully craft their narratives to explore social skills, you go literally just think off of the top of your head. Society is charged with different problems or issues every day. There are myriads. Okay, let me come up with one. There's a myriad of issues in society. Writers are, let me think about what I want to say here. You can say authors tend to highlight or magnify. Okay, authors tend to magnify these social issues by using their craft in their novels. And then you can say one post-colonial novel is, or one British novel is that's used for that and that and that. If you spend time then try learn quotes, you probably miss everything else. So don't do that. You guys will be okay. All right, just know you will be okay. All right, guys, so I will be talking to you in the WhatsApp group. I'll keep in touch with you guys. Just please do not try to kill off yourselves. It's one exam and you're worth more than the grade you are. So don't think that your worth is attached to a grade. It's a letter. And chances are the persons who mark it, sometimes they're not even half awake because they're marking someone when they need rest. So you'll be okay. Trust me, you'll be okay. All right. If you guys have no further questions, this is where we'll end. All right, guys. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, guys, all the best on your exam. If you have any more questions, you can just text me in the WhatsApp group. You're welcome. And remember, structure is important, more important than content. The content is great, and I know you have the content already, but just know how to apply whatever you have learned. All right, guys, take care. Bye.